the leader of the pack, bringing legacy to you. Legacy, it's true. Stand up, gear up, join the fight. We're as fierce as we can be. With grit and might, we claim the night. We're the Legacy. Legacy Club. Legacy Club. Strong and unbreakable. Warriors with fire inside. In our hearts, we're invincible. Legacy Club.
All right. Oh. Okie that was kind of loud. My bad. Not rad. I understand. I get it. Let's fix it. And we're good. Gotta clear my throat. All things that should be done before we're recording, you know? Things that a professional would take care of before getting going. But I'm not a professional. I want to be. I try to be. I am, but I'm not. You know what I mean? I know what I mean. And usually that's all that it matters to me. That sounds very self-centered. Man, I wish I turned that light off. Not that it matters, but it just bugs me. Anyhow, hey, hello, welcome back. Welcome back. Da-da. Welcome back. You like the intro song? I do. I love it. I love it. It's the Legacy Club March, because this is the Legacy Club podcast, and I'm Justin. Read the hat, for those of you watching the video, the ears. And if this is your first time here, buckle up, because it's going to be confusing. It's going to be confusing for you, probably. And if you're returning, welcome back. It's also probably going to be confusing for you, because oftentimes it's confusing for me, and that's okay, because that's what this podcast is. It's chaos. Not really. See what I mean? You confused yet? Hey, and by we, I mean my family and I, have returned from Disney World. That's why there was no new episode last week. And weekly is the schedule for this. Don't have a day. There's no set day every week. Just there will be a new episode every week. Baby steps. Baby steps to consistency, because I have babies and they themselves are inconsistent, though they are being much more consistent as of late. And I very much appreciate that, because it's making my life creatively, productively, much better, you know? So yeah, if you were keeping up on the social medias, I didn't post a whole lot on the trip. I don't post a whole lot when we're down taking family trips, because I'm invested in the moment, in the time, being with my family, capturing moments, videographifically, that I hope they appreciate one day. I do utilize that same video opportunity to, professionally as well, for YouTubes and stuff. But something I wish that I had more of is home video growing up. Now, my mom did have a video camera. I just don't know where all the footage is. And I doubt that I ever will know, unfortunately. And, woo! I got a cinnamon thing going on in my mouth. And it's very nice. It's very seasonal. It's making me feel very fallish. But boy, does it kick you in the back of the throat. Why does cinnamon do that? I like it, but it's just like, wow. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. I wish I had more video from my childhood. Granted, I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, so video was a thing, but it wasn't like as easily executed and accessible as it is today. Like I said, my mom did have a camera. I have the camera. I got it on my last trip home to San Diego. And there's a tape in it. there's a tape in it that I need to get out and see if there's anything on it. However, I don't know if the camera itself is functional. I have to get like, you know, those round like watch batteries, the most inconvenient battery on the planet. I need to get some of those to see if I can get a tape out. Because it'd be really cool if there was some video of, you know, my sister and I, but mostly it'd be really cool to have some video of my mom. That'd be really cool. We'll see. We shall see. That's on my to-do list. But I have it. I have possibly some footage from that video recorder. It's just a matter of accessing it. My uncle might have some somewhere. I don't know. He said he was going through photos at one point and stuff for me. My mom passed away when I was a kid, so not to be a downer up front, but that's why it's so important to me to access that tape. And important to me to capture video of time with my kids while they're kids, while they're babies, while they're children, on our family trips and whatnot. I do it. It's so easy to do now, and it's something that I think most people don't appreciate. You know what I mean? How easily accessible it is. How easily accessible capturing moments and memories are these days. But yeah, we had a great time. We had a blast. It was a really fun time. It was a really fun time down there when you have kids. We have kids as young as we do. So it was my wife, myself, and then our 3 younger kids. Our 14-year-old had started school already, so he stayed here in Nashville. He's gonna take a special trip, a solo trip with him and his mom. So that's gonna be nice for them. And then I'm gonna be on solo dad duty with the 3 maniacs. So when you have, okay, so we had Roadies 1, Mavericks 3, and Bane is 8. So we had 1, 3, and 8. And boy, oh boy, if you think that it's a walk in the park, pun intended, because we did go to the parks, it's a thing, man. It's a thing having tackling the Disney parks with children, especially 2 very young children. And when you go to the parks, you need to be of the mindset that you're kind of going into battle a little bit. You're still going to have fun, but man, so much of it's a fight. Not like aggravated fight, but it's just like Florida's hot. Florida is, and I mean this in the most endearing way, Florida is like America's butthole, or armpit, or taint, or knee pit. I don't know, man. It's a part of the body where it's very humid. My pits are humid. My taint is humid. Yeah. Dude, like, not 5 minutes. Like, in the morning. So the park's obviously open in the morning, and you get there. We got there. And, like, just the walk from the parking lot to the gate, I'm already drenched in sweat. Like I had been on Splash Mountain already, or Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And I'm just soaking wet. I am of Portuguese descent, a.k.a. the Portuguese problem. I am the Portuguese problem. But a Portuguese problem is a I want to say profusely. Yeah, I sweat profusely. Like bad. I don't know how my wife tolerates it, because I'm in the summertime, I'm consistently wet. Like sleeping in bed, I'm consistently wet. I sweat quite a bit. I don't think I stink. I think I smell okay. But man, am I a damp daddy. But yeah, dude. So with the heat, my children are half breeds, so they are half sweaty, and it's just like dealing with the heat and stroller pushing and taking kids out of the stroller, and then sometimes having to fight them back into the stroller. And then Bane is how do I say this as a loving father? He is a complainer. Like, he has a passion for it, it seems. He passionately complains about just about everything. And it's not like just complaining. It's argumentatively complaining. It's complaining mixed with arguing. Because you try to be optimistic. You try to be like, hey man, yeah, like, I know it sucks. It's hot. I'm hot. I feel it. He's like, you don't feel it. It's like, what do you mean I don't feel it? Like, I'm out here with you. Like, you think the sun and the suffocating air is only affecting you? But then you try to rationalize with an 8-year-old, and it's just like, that in itself is kind of bonkers. But when you're like dealing with my 8-year-old, who's half me, so he's half whatever I am, and I'm no picnic. I know that. I can get grouchy. I can get grumpy. I can get, like, a Portuguese stereotype, men and women alike, is I don't want to say rage. It's it's not rage, but it is prone to aggravation and outspoken aggravation. My wife may have less delicate ways of saying that. Maybe if you ask her. But dude, like, it's something, man. It's a Portuguese problem. So you got to go into, when you have kids, you got to go into, your time at the happiest place. Well, that's Disneyland. We didn't go to Disneyland. Most magical place. Just for the sake of what I'm saying, the happiest place on earth. You're going to the happiest place on earth, and you have to understand that happiness is going to be something that you need to focus on. You need to fight for sometimes, because lots of obstacles. And if you have the mindset of like, that's just part of it, you don't let it bring you down. You're not brought down by it. So yeah, we had a really good time. There were moments of just like, what, like, why did I do this? Why did I do this to myself? This isn't cool. This isn't fun, but it is fun, but it's not fun. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, yeah, it's just a lot of, what ride are we going on now? I'm tired. I'm hot. My feet hurt. My legs are falling. Bane is very, like, the way he describes things is, he goes, my legs are broken. My ribs are broken. And that's his way of saying he's tired. And it's just like, a constant over and over. And it's just like, it takes everything in me at times to go like, I know, shut it. Let's call it Small World. So, yeah, it was a big trip. It was a big trip. Disney World had a deal going on where it was like, if you did all 4 parks, you got the ticket prices reduced significantly. So we did that. So for like the same price of us only doing 2 parks, we got to do 4. And we drive from our home in Nashville, Tennessee, down to Orlando, or Kissimmee to be more precise. So that's exhausting. It's crazy how exhausting driving is. Like, you're not doing a whole bunch physically. I mean, you're focused on the road, driving safely, you know, all that jazz. But it's just like, I don't know, man. There's something about sitting there that's still exhaustive. And we left later than anticipated. We rented a car here in Nashville and drove down, just because the cars we have are spacious enough for like day to day and doing the things we do here around town. But we wanted something a little more comfortable for travel and just to fit all our stuff. Like we, looking at it, it looks like we're packing too much, but ultimately what's packed is all necessary. I don't do any of the packing. My wife is a champion. She does the packing, she does the planning, she does all of that. She does all the prep work. And I'm so grateful for that, because if that was left to me, man, we would be in trouble. I'm just not that kind of person. That's not my mindset. I'm not, I don't know. That's not how my brain works. I would go down with like a backpack and be like, that's all we need. And then, yeah, that's just not logical at all, especially for how many people we have in our family. So yeah, we did all 4 parks. We drove down later than anticipated. We drive through the night because, you know, the idea is to have the kids and ultimately my wife sleep on the drive down, the 8 to 10 theoretical hours that the drive is, but it ultimately takes us like 10 to 12 hours to drive down, just with like stopping for bathroom breaks, diaper changes, refueling the vehicle and ourselves, me with coffee, caffeine. And it's just like, yeah, so the travel itself is a whole ordeal in itself. And then, since we were doing the 4 parks, we did a travel day and then immediately jumped into going to the parks. We got down there, we drove through the night. This is later than anticipated, so ultimately, it turned out I was up for maybe 24 hours by the time we got there. And when we get there, we like to spend, when we do Disney, we like to spend as much time doing Disney-esque things as we possibly can. So, I mean, sometimes we'll go down there, and before we even go to the hotel, we go down to Disney Springs, like their shopping area. And we hit the ground running, and it's just yeah, man, it's not relaxing by any stretch of the imagination, but it's still very enjoyable. So we left, we did the Disney Springs thing. When we got there, went to our hotel, slept, and then immediately the next day we did Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom, for whatever reason, is it just feels so much hotter than the other three parks. And it's just like being exhausted from the travel day before. It just made that day such a effort, but a good one. I need to find a way to enjoy Animal Kingdom. It's just not my park, dude. Like, it's not for me. I don't know. I don't know why. It's cool. There's not a lot of rides, but in my old age, I'm not necessarily like all rides, focused. I like to look around. I like to get food. I like to eat the fun food they have there. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's some people out there. There is a Disney vlogger group. Is that a group of vlogger? I don't know. A channel, a vlog channel. I don't know. 3 people who have a vlog channel who do like Disney vlogging and like Universal Studios and stuff like that. But I don't know. For this, I'm just gonna say Disney vloggers. One of the folks on that channel, in that group, say that Animal Kingdom is their favorite park. And for the life of me, I can't understand why. It's the least Disney thematic park. It's got the least amount of rides, and it feels the most oppressive with the Florida heat. This was only the second time I personally have ever been to Animal Kingdom. We venture down to Disney World fairly consistently, I'd say, but that's never one of the parks we care to visit. Like, we will always do Magic Kingdom and EPCOT without fail. But I mean, if we're only going to do one park, we do Magic Kingdom. If we do 2, we'll do EPCOT. If we do 3, maybe we'll do Hollywood Studios. Maybe. And then EPCOT and Magic Kingdom. Sometimes we'll just do 2 Magic Kingdom days in EPCOT. Like, So, where am I going with this? Oh, yeah. So it's never a park that we focus our trips on. And visiting there this time, I was reminded why it's never one that we care to go to. So basically, I'm saying anyone who says that Animal Kingdom is their favorite of the 4 parks, I don't believe you. I don't believe it. I don't see how that could be real. I think it's a Disney hipster thing to say. Like, no one else is saying it. I'm going to sound cool and be like, I'm going to be different, and I'm going to say Animal Kingdom is my favorite. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. They have cool animals, and if you do their Kilimanjaro safari ride, I did quotes for those, air quotes, finger air quotes, for those of you on audio only. It's a ride, I guess, because you get in like a ride vehicle, but it's a safari. You know, you drive around and look at animals, which in itself is cool. It's a fun experience because I don't know, man. I grew up down in San Diego, and in San Diego we have do I still say we? At this point in my life, I have more memory of living here in Nashville than I do of living in San Diego, maybe. Because let's see, I was born in San Diego, and I moved away from San Diego probably when I like 19, 20, around there. So let's say I lived there for like 20 years. But ages like birth to 3, I don't necessarily, like, how many people, how many of you out there have like really vivid memories of being 3, like from that age? I definitely have some that I presume. No, I definitely have some memories of that age, maybe younger, because I do have memories of before my sister was born, and my sister and I are 3 years apart. So I definitely have memories of like life before my sister was born, my mom being pregnant with my sister, and then, you know, then life with my sister. So let's not count 3. So like I have maybe 17-ish years, give or take, of memories in San Diego, and I moved here to Nashville in 2009. It is 2024 now. So yeah, I'm coming up on having been a Nashvillian almost the same amount of time that I was a San Diegan. So yeah, I think I'm at that point. Am I at that point where I can't say we anymore? But when you're from a place, do you always consider it home? Or is where you live home? Is where you have spent the majority of your life home? I don't know. Basically, what I'm saying is, when do I officially be? I guess when you're in a place where you've lived most of your life, that's where you use the term we when talking about being part of the collective of the city. What a tangent. I don't know. Told you this is going to be confusing. I don't really stay in one direction. Anyhow, growing up in San Diego, there's the San Diego Zoo, which arguably is the most impressive zoo in the United States. And growing up, there was also the Wild Animal Park, which is like a second zoo, which is kind of like a safari park. And I don't think they call it the Wild Animal Park anymore. What do they call it now? Let's find out, because I know they changed the name. And it was one of those things where I was like, why? Why did you change the name? San Diego Wild Animal Park. What is it called now? San Diego Zoo Safari Park. So it's legit just an extension of the zoo. So that all to say, I grew up having access to a pretty impressive two impressive zoos where I had an opportunity to see an impressive array of animals. And I would argue that Disney Animal Kingdom, I've seen, I don't know, more impressive animals there. They probably have very similar animals, but for whatever reason, specifically that Kilimanjaro safari ride, it just feels like you're seeing really cool animals. You see a lion, you see cheetahs. There was a rhino that like walked in front of our ride vehicle twice. The rhino went across the vehicle one way, and then when we turned the corner, the rhino turned around and crossed the vehicle the other way. And it's just like, wow, that's a rhino. That's a rhino just walking around. And it feels very different. It feels very different than like standing outside of an enclosure looking in. So it's cool. Animal Kingdom's cool for that alone, but I don't know, man. And it closes early. It closes so much earlier than the other parks. Like when we went, the 2 times we went, both times Animal Kingdom closed at like 6. When all the other parks close from like anywhere between, 10 and midnight. So it's just like, it's not even, I don't know, the kind of Disney doers that we are, rope drop opening to park close. Ideally, having young kids, it makes it kind of challenging to do that because you don't want to wake them up too early in the morning because then they're going to be grouchy all day or a good chunk of the day. And then at the end of doing a Disney park, everyone's exhausted and little kids are like very exhausted. And when they get exhausted, the grumpiness comes back or has a tendency to. So yeah, it's just, you don't get the same amount of hours of being there. I guess if you're a local, that doesn't really matter to you, but we're not locals. So I don't know, man. I don't know. The next time we do Animal Kingdom, they're doing an expansion. They're adding a lot to that park. And I mean, I personally have no desire to go back until that expansion's complete. I mean, I feel like I haven't even seen all that park has to offer. Like, there are walking trails and areas where you can go and like experience the park as a zoo, like go to the enclosures and look at the animals, I guess, like a conventional zoo. But we haven't done that. The only animal viewing we do there is via that safari ride. So I don't know. I'm glad it was the first park we did, because as uncomfortable as it was, it definitely like made the following park experiences more enjoyable, just because it wasn't as like oppressively hot. There was more to do with the other parks. So I don't know. I'm glad we did it. It was cool. Got some cool content out of it that we'll be sharing on, our various YouTube channels. But yeah, dude, I don't know. Not for me. And then the day following. So usually what we like to do when we go down is we do a park, take a day off to recuperate, like take the kids to the to the hotel pool, go back to Disney Springs. I don't know, just whatever. Recover from the prior park day. But given our time frame of when we were going to be down there, we weren't allotted that extra time to take a gap day in between the first two parks. So did Animal Kingdom, and then the following day we did Hollywood Studios. And Disney Hollywood Studios is another park where it's like, it's cool. It's cool enough to do. It's cool enough to do more than Animal Kingdom is, for sure. I don't know if there's more rides. There might be, but it's definitely more Disney-esque in the theming. And there's more things that appeal to me personally. Like, that's where they have their Galaxy's Edge. They have their Star Wars land there. And if you know me, you know that I am a diehard Star Wars fanboy. But even that park doesn't have a whole bunch to offer necessarily. Like, it's got Galaxy's Edge, and then it has Toy Story Land, which has like 3 rides there. Galaxy's Edge has 2 rides, but then they have another Star Wars ride just outside of Galaxy's Edge. So that's cool. But beyond that, it's just kind of like, it feels the smallest of the 3 parks, or the 4 parks. It feels the smallest, but still more to do than Animal Kingdom. That was fun. That was a cool experience because, like myself, Bane is very into Star Wars. And then our younger 2, Ro and Mav, they are both big into Toy Story, big into Pixar. So they don't like Disneyland. California Adventure has a whole Pixar area. But Hollywood Studios is very specifically Toy Story. But there is an area where you can meet other Pixar characters. And my wife is very into meeting characters. And I could take it or leave it. I mean, I enjoy it. There's never a time where I'm like against meeting characters, but it's definitely not something at the top of my priority list when going to the parks. I'm a ride guy. That's safe to say. For sure. And the food. I say food mostly because when we go to EPCOT specifically, that's during some kind of like festival they got going on that incorporates a fun and fair amount of unique cuisine. So we did Hollywood Studios, and then between Hollywood Studios and our next park day, we had a day off where, what did we do on our day off? We did Disney Springs. We went to Disney Springs, hung out there for a bit, got cookies at Gideon's Bakehouse. Gideon's Bakehouse, bro. Like, that place is very cool. On the Legacy Club YouTube, on the YouTube channel you're watching this on, I have some vloggy videos of going to Gideon's. The atmosphere is a very small place on the interior, but its theming is like kind of Tim Burton-esque. And the cookies, like they specialize in cookies. They have like cake and coffee and stuff too, but like cookies are the draw there. Dude, they are like these like monster thick, chewy, very ornate and uniquely flavored cookies, and it's a must every time we go. Every single time we go, we will always go to Gideon's and grab like, 3 to 4 cookies. And now when you say 3 to 4 cookies, it doesn't sound like a lot, but the density and the size of these things, like you're getting, I mean, there's never been a time where we have eaten one cookie in its entirety in one sitting. That's how impressive they are. So we did that. We got like 4 cookies. They usually have like a special cookie every month. They do like the flavor of the month. And I don't know, man, when we went the last 2 times we've gone, their flavor of the month was So this time we didn't even bother. It was like a key lime cookie, and what kind of flavor is key lime? Who likes key lime out there? Besides Floridians. I like Floridians and their citrus, man. I don't like citrus necessarily. Like, I enjoy lime on my Mexican food. I enjoy lemon on like seafood. Maybe in a dessert, like a blueberry lemon dessert is nice. Lemon poppy seed desserts are nice, but I mean, I'm not a lemonade guy. Oranges, and every extension of the orange family is grotesque to me. Like, I don't know. There are people who really enjoy the flavor, who enjoy the fruit. I'm not one of those people. I'm repulsed by oranges. And there's an irony in that, because there's a very Disney World specific character. This is not a character you're going to find in Disneyland or in California. He has no place in Disneyland. He was actually developed by like the citrus organization of Florida, like teaming up with Disney. It's the Orange Bird. And I love Orange Bird. Like, as a character, I think he is just the weirdest, most obscure and unique Disney character maybe ever. It's a bird, an orange bird, whose head is an orange, and he speaks in orange. He speaks in like cloud, like animated word bubble clouds, but it's just images in the clouds. I know a lot about our Orange Bird. I did a whole podcast way back when of everything you didn't know you wanted to know about Orange Bird that I may pull out of the vault and repost as a Legacy Club episode. I think I did it as like a Ragnarok episode when I still called the podcast Ragnarok. But yeah, so for those of you new to this, the Leal Legacy thing that we got going on, you may have missed that episode way back when. So yeah, I may pull that one out of the vault because I don't know, man. I love that character so much, and he's so weird. He doesn't have a movie. I think there has been times where like you could meet Orange Bird as a character, and take photos and whatnot, but like he only exists as a marketing collaboration between like the citrus whatever organization of Florida and Disney. So it's just I don't know. It's just weird, and I like weird. So I love the character. I hate the fruit. I'm disgusted by it, but a character that is literally part orange is one of my favorite Disney characters ever. Uh, and you see quite a bit of Orange Bird at Disney Springs, so that's always fun. But yeah, key lime sucks. So if there's somebody out there who likes key lime, please help me understand why. I didn't. The idea of a key lime flavored cookie, and especially like the epicness that is a Gideon's Bakehouse cookie, that much key lime flavor had no interest in that at all. So we got like their standard, consistent cookie flavors that are all, like you can find there year round. I don't know. It's such a bonkers tangent. So that was a day off. Then following that day, we did Magic Kingdom, which always a blast. I mean, you can't do Disney World and not do Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom is Disneyland's is the sequel. Is the sequel to Disneyland. It is basically Disneyland of Disney World. It's not an exact replica of Disneyland in California, but it's like close enough. You know what I mean? It's a sequel. You know when you see a sequel of a movie where they repeat just enough of the same jokes and like touch on the same themes as they did in the first movie, but it's its own thing. It's different. It's still very similar and nearly the same, but it's still uniquely itself. And yeah, I love Magic Kingdom. It's I don't know. I guess it's like my it's growing up. We did Disneyland probably as much as my family and I now do Disney World. So it's like it's the Disneyland of my adult life, while Disneyland was, the Disney of my childhood. The same rides like Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, uniquely Magic Kingdom versions of those rides. Big Thunder Mountain, Space Mountain. But, it's not the same. It'll never be Disneyland. It'll never hold the same place in my heart that Disneyland does. But it's definitely, it fills that void. Being so far away from Disneyland now as an adult. So we did that. It was much more tolerable heat wise, and I don't know, there's just something about being at Magic Kingdom that is the magic of Magic Kingdom really helps distract from how uncomfortable the heat of Florida is. And just the exhaustion of wrangling 3 kids, 2 small children, pushing strollers, that whole element that, we specifically experience as a family. I know not everybody has kids, and, if you go down to the parks solo or just you and your significant other or whatever, like it's definitely a unique element that it makes for a very different and unique experience than if you go with kids, it's not, it's not the same thing as going without. Like it is legitimately an entirely different experience. And then we had another day off where on that day off, I don't know, man. Sometimes I think my wife like tricks me. She fools me. She like messes with me where she pretends that she doesn't have an agenda, like a plan or a thought of doing something, and then we'll casually be like, hey, well, I thought maybe we could do this. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's go ahead and do that. Like we'll start the day. We'll be going into the day with no set plans, no set agenda, just kind of like, we'll take it by ear. We're going to recover from our previous park day. We'll do whatever. But I have a sinking suspicion that if she tries to drop her true intentions on me up front, back to the whole Portuguese problem thing, I may have a reaction that is something of like, no, I don't. Are you kidding? Like, I just, can we just relax? Like, I just want to I want to unwind. I just want to recover before we do our next park day. Like, I don't want to do a whole big thing again when we're supposed to be prepping for our next experience. But she always gets me. She always gets what she wants. I think in our time together, she's become a professional in knowing how to play me. And it's okay. It's not like a negative thing, but she definitely knows how to get what she wants. And she masks it as like, oh, it just happened to play out that way. So on that specific recovery day, our day off on that, we did she loves to do a character dining experience. And almost every time we go down, she sneaks one in. Sometimes it's part of the plan. Other times it's like this time it just somehow happens. We've done a lot of character dining experiences. My favorite being the Snow White one, but this time they had developed a new one since the last time we had been there, and it's a new one, so she had to get it under her belt. So we did. It was called 1900 Park Fair, which is at the Grand Floridian, and for those of you who know, it's a fancy place. Like the Grand Floridian Hotel, like resort area is pinky up, kind of hoity-toity feeling. And I felt very out of place. But, hold on. I need water. Deal with me for a sec. Okay. And I had to refresh my minty thing, because I get dried out talking this much, but these little mint pouches are they keep the saliva flowing. You know what I mean? They keep it going. And I don't get as with them. So it's nice. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, we did 1900 Park Fair. which its theme is like all like wish based. All the characters there are characters who had made their wishes come true. And in my mind, that's just about every single Disney character ever, right? Like every Disney movie, animated feature at least, more or less, is about a character who has some sort of wish that comes to fruition. You know what I mean? From like Snow White, Cinderella, Sword in the Stone, Princess and the Frog, who else? Maybe I spoke too soon. But really, like, I don't know. It was a very unique theme that kind of I don't know. It was interesting. But the characters there that you got to meet, or we got to meet, or anyone who gets to meet going there, you got to meet. It's a weird collaboration of characters. You get to meet Cinderella. You get to meet Maribel from Encanto. You get to meet Aladdin in his Prince Ali, I think, get up, or his just like end of the movie, he's a prince now costume. And then you also get to meet Tiana from Princess and the Frog. But the Tiana you get to meet is not the Tiana from the movie. It's the Tiana from the new Tiana's Bayou Adventure Ride, which is the new Splash Mountain. So she's in like kind of like swamp safari getup, which is interesting because you got Cinderella in, her Cinderella gown, and then you get Safari Tiana, which I don't know. When you see Aladdin and Cinderella, you're kind of like, hey, Tiana, you're a little underdressed here. But then Maribel's just wearing her normal Encanto gear from the movie, so she's kind of underdressed too for the establishment. It was a buffet. I love a good buffet. I prefer a buffet to like a table service dining experience. It's the first time I think that we've got to, as our family together, that we've got to do a buffet. We've done Chef Mickey's before, but that was during the pandemic, and for whatever reason, Chef Mickey's is conventionally a buffet dining experience, but because of the whole pandemic thing, they changed it to a table service experience. So that was kind of a bummer. But no. Another buffet we got to do was I don't remember what it was called. Cape May, I think is what it was called. It was like a beach themed character dining experience where Donald Duck, Goofy, Daisy, and I think Minnie Mouse are all in like beach attire. So that was a buffet we got to do. Sorry, this cinnamon is kicking me in the throat again. Yeah, but that was a breakfast one. I'm not a breakfast guy. I appreciate breakfast food. I do appreciate breakfast food, but I much rather do like lunch to dinner menus. You know what I mean? So the menu is awesome. The menu kind of encompassed cuisines from like each of the characters' backgrounds. So like there was gumbo and shrimp and stuff for Tiana. There was like, I think there was like falafel and stuff for Aladdin. There may have been some South American stuff for Maribel, and then I guess just kind of standard menu items for Cinderella. Like they had like prime rib and a like pork loin kind of roast thing, and I can only attribute those to Cinderella because it doesn't really fit any of the other characters' backgrounds. So yeah, we did that. It was cool. All of this I have footage of too. So I guess if you're watching this video, maybe I'll splice some of it in. I'll splice in some of the footage. Possibly. Depending on how deep I want to get into editing. But if not, you could go check it out on our YouTube for Leal Legacy View, which is like POV park experiences, I guess. I guess the best way to put it. And then we have a family vlog channel that we really utilize this trip to collect footage and content to build that channel, which didn't go as planned, but ultimately in the end, I think what we're going to do with it all is going to be better. I guess I'll talk about that later. So that was cool. And then the day after that, we did EPCOT. And EPCOT is my personal favorite of the Disney World parks. Growing up, EPCOT was always like the vision of Disney World that I had in my mind. I never really thought Magic Kingdom growing up. When I thought about Disney World, I always thought about the EPCOT ball, like Spaceship Earth, and then just the idea of EPCOT really embodied the idea of Disney World to me growing up on the West Coast. And I hadn't experienced Disney World until adulthood, and honestly, until I met my wife. I don't know. I had like a very romantic idea of like the person that I experienced Disney World with would ultimately be, you know, the person that I would spend the rest of my life with. And I blame TGIF. Because TGIF, they would always have like, you know, Full House, Boy Meets World, like all the shows would take a trip to Disney World, and like every show would be a Disney World themed episode. And you know, Corey and Topanga like having a very romantic episode at EPCOT, or you know. I don't know. It just embedded that perception was always embedded in my mind. So after I had met my wife, you know, we went to Disney World, and yeah, that's where I asked her to marry me and all that kind of stuff. Very, very fairy tale-ish. Which and I lived in Orlando for like 3+ years. When I went to college, and I would frequent at the time. Then Disney Springs was called Downtown Disney, and I would frequent Downtown Disney quite a bit while I lived there, but I never went to the parks. I held off. I held off to, you know, to live out that like fairy tale kind of perception that I had in my mind, and it worked out. What another tangent. But anyhow, yeah, EPCOT is the park that's my park out of the 4 in Disney World. And I would do EPCOT in multiple days given the opportunity. It seems like a waste, I guess, when like our family goes, because we want to experience like all of them if we can. Well, maybe not all of them, but we want to do more than one. But if it was up to me, I would definitely do multiple EPCOT days. And we got to EPCOT like the day after their food and wine festival kicked off. So there was a lot of cool food options that we got to partake in and like experience. And it's tricky. It's tricky because a lot of the food options that they offer during festivals are not, they're not geared towards picky eaters. And Maverick is not a picky eater. He'll eat mostly anything. Rhodes is one, so like there's limitations to like his palate. Like he's not going to go for spicy. Maverick will eat spicy food. He's 3 and he has zero hesitation or like qualms with spicy food or like anything like that. Like he's getting a little more vocal and kind of picky-ish to like what he likes and what he doesn't like. But Bane is like the pickiest of eaters. So yeah, it's like we want to go experience, the unique food offerings they have, but we also have to accommodate, you got to feed your kids. I know it's a wild concept that I'm not sure everybody understands, but kids need to eat. And when they're only going to eat, very limited things, you gotta accommodate. So they're nourished. Is that the right word I want? Anyway, but we got to try some cool things. The rides at Epcot they're also not geared towards thrill seekers, I would say. They're more mellow. Most of the rides, pretty much all of the rides don't have any like height requirements, so anybody can go on. Rhodes got to go on pretty much everything. Rider swap. If you go to the parks with a child who's unable to ride certain rides due to like height restrictions, but you have another child who can go on rides, you get to do a thing called rider swap, where one of the parents can go on the ride with either solo or with, a kid that can go on the ride. And then when they're done, the parent who was sitting with the kids who were not able to go on the ride can go in like their fast lane option, their lightning lane, fast pass, whatever you want to call it, the quick like line skipping essentially option, and take the kid who is able to go on the ride a second time. So like in Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios and stuff, Bane got to do a handful of the rides back to back, like twice. So it's rad for the older kids and for the parents as well. That's not really a thing at Epcot. There's one ride that's a thing you can do, and it's the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, which, dude, that ride is bonkers. Like, I got a POV, I have a POV video I'll post on our Legacy View page or channel, so you can see just how elaborate and just thrilling that ride is. Like it's like a kind of roller coaster ride, but it's Guardians of the Galaxy themed, and it's like it's a roller coaster in the dark, but the visuals are like very cinematic, and what you're riding in, you're on a roller coaster track, but the car you're in rotates. So it has kind of like almost like a spinning element, but you don't spin like a teacup. You rotate with the visuals. So it's rad. I love that ride. But everything else there is pretty mellow. And it's I don't know. It's not a thrill seeker park, but I'm not really a thrill seeker kind of rider. I don't gravitate to rides where, roller coasters with epic drops or like going upside down or anything crazy like that. I don't know. I'm boring like that, I guess. Living with the Land is one of my favorite rides to do. And that's like an educational ride. You go through and you get to see like the agricultural practices of Disney. It's just like, I love it. But when you have an 8-year-old who is kind of a thrill seeker, it's very, I don't know. If you have a thrill seeker in your party, it might not be the park for them, but it's the park for me. So, all in all, we had a really great time. It was a blast. Got a lot of cool stuff to share across our YouTube channels and whatnot. But anyhow, a lot of that we'll go more in depth. I say more in depth with this episode's been going on for like an hour already. So I don't know. I don't think I went too in depth on anything though. I just kind of recapped it all. But on our legacy of Leal channel, that's our family vlog channel and associated podcast. There'll be a second podcast to this, the Legacy Club podcast, where my wife and I will go and delve deeper into everything. We had intentions on doing like kind of the conventional Disney vloggy format that a lot of like almost all the other channels do. But it's hard to do that format when you have kids in the background like complaining or yelling or requiring attention. It's kind of hard to, it's difficult to be content creatory with that. So ultimately we've decided to do a format much like this, where it'll be me and my wife sitting, talking, doing a podcasty kind of thing with the footage we shot and collected during our trip spliced in, like kind of like doing a voiceover ish, but there were moments where we did get to talk with the camera audio picking it up. So I don't know. I think it's going to be cooler. It's going to be different than any of the other channel formats out there. So we'll have a niche. We'll have our own niche. It'll fit this. So it's going to be cool. Legacy of Leal. So go subscribe to that so you don't miss, when we get to post and everything. And there we go. Yeah, that was our Disney World trip recap. There were things I wanted to like touch on. I made a list. I made a list of things to talk about after the last episode of like the Legacy Club this podcast. I was like, I need more structure. I need to have things that I want to talk about than just kind of like grabbing whatever the tornado in my head allows me to like. my thoughts in my head are constantly spinning. And usually on the podcast, if you haven't noticed, I'll just kind of grab from the storm and start stream of conscious, we'll just start ranting about something. But I was like, I started taking notes. I started taking notes on like just things I found interesting, or I don't know, things through the week that I was like, I think this would be fun to dive into a little bit, or just like share my thoughts on and opinions on, and get myself into trouble with. Because on the Legacy of Leal channel, our family channel, podcasts and whatnot, I'm going to need to behave more. It's my wife has made it clear, like you can't just say some of the craziness that you say in day-to-day life and on your podcast. So I had a list of things that I guess I'll get into next episode, because I've kind of taken the majority of this time recapping our trip. But things that like stood out that I wanted to touch on, just with me, because I'm uniquely me, I guess one could say. So a personal thing from our Disney trip that pushing a stroller through the parks is a thing. And Disney stroller dads, like, that I want to shout out, because unless you are a Disney stroller dad, none of this may mean anything to you, unless it's an experience you've had. But I noticed down there, there's like there's just like an almost like club mentality. There's an unspoken understanding between like dads pushing strollers to the park. Like there's an etiquette to follow that's just unspoken. There's just like, you understand. There's an unspoken understanding that no matter your background, no matter your nationality, no matter where you come from, doing this experience, having this experience connects you in a way that is unlike anything else. Like there's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard to put into words. But what I will say, and I feel, excuse me, I'm getting burpy. I don't know why. Where was I going with this? I feel confident that other Disney stroller dads will feel similar in what I'm about to say. There is I personally feel that if you are given the extra obstacle, the extra challenge, the added opportunity to be pushing a stroller through the parks, through the crowds, you should be allowed certain liberties while venturing through the park. Because if you're just like a walker just by yourself or with someone, you need to take in consideration how much easier not pushing a stroller is for you in your mobility. And specifically when it comes to ramps. Now, and I'm thinking very specifically a moment in Hollywood studios where there is like this area near the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway ride, like the big it's a ride where the outside facade is made to look like the Chinese theater in Hollywood. That's not important here, but the area where that is elevated from where like Toy Story Land, like if you're coming out of Toy Story Land going into like, I guess it's kind of, it's like a very central part of the park, and it's elevated, so you have to go upstairs more or less when accessing that area. And there's a very narrow ramp that you can use to access that area more immediately. Like you could go further around. You could go further around to get to the same area, but it's just like, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And I don't think that has anything to do with what I'm trying to say, but that's just where my brain went. There's a more immediate path, and that more immediate path is a narrow ramp. And if you're not on wheels, or if you're not, if wheels aren't a part of you getting around, like a wheelchair or a stroller, don't use that ramp. Don't use ramps unless you have to use them in the Disney parks. Okay? That's ultimately what I'm trying to get at. Like, there's a courtesy. Believe it or not, I think I'm a pretty courteous individual. So I will, my wife is very go at the parks. Like she is our, she's like, okay, we're going to this ride because the wait time is low and this is like prime opportunity to ride this ride. So we got to get there as quickly as possible. Or like we have a lightning lane time that we're trying to get to, like we're trying to meet. Like we're on the move. We're on the move with intention. So she is like on it. She's go. And, more often than not, I'm pushing our kids in the stroller. So I'm not as mobile or able to move as quickly as she is. So she'll like take off and I'll be sitting at the ramp allowing people who are coming down or coming up who got there first, I'm allowing them to go before me. And in the time where I'm waiting my turn to use the ramp, people who have no business using the ramp are crowding. They're getting in the way. So I have a switch within me that flips where I go from courteous to aggressive. And I will always be courteous to anyone else operating or moving around with wheels. But as soon as like there isn't anyone else in that same situation that I'm in, I'm on the attack. So I'll wait for, other Disney stroller dads to get by on the ramp, and sometimes like we'll cross paths, like we'll maneuver around each other in very close quarters and tight turns, and let's just like, it's a skill. It's very skill based. But as soon as I don't have to be courteous, like I'm gonna mow you down. If you're on the ramp and you don't need to be, and I need to be, I'm coming through you. Like, and it results in maybe people being taken aback, or like it'll inspire frustration in folks that I don't believe have any business feeling frustrated in. Like, you're on this ramp, but you don't need to be. You're just being lazy. You can use the stairs. I need this ramp. I don't have the option of using stairs. Like, I'm pushing a double wide stroller with 2 kids. Like, I have one option. I mean, I don't, like, to say I have one option is untrue. But this is my most immediate path to get to where I need to be. And as soon as I perceive you as in my way, you no longer exist. You no longer exist in a realm where I feel I need to offer you respect, because I feel that you're disrespecting me. You don't need to be here. So so in this instance specifically, I had waited for a number of other strollers to come down the ramp, and it put a distance between my wife and I where, she was where we needed to be, and I was still like being the nice guy, and I was not moving as quickly as she was. And it was within reason. I was being nice, but as soon as I didn't have to be, like, I started taking people down. I started taking people out. Like, I definitely, I'm confident in saying that there are some bruised shins. People left that day with some bruised shins who didn't see it coming. And I don't think any other stroller dads out there, Disney stroller dads, I don't think any of them out there can fault me. And honestly, I think that I would get some like real, like, kudos from maybe some of the more timid isn't the right word, but more like less aggressive, I guess you could say. I definitely, when I mowed some folks down who didn't need to be where they were, I definitely got some looks from other stroller dads who were just kind of like, hey, good on you. But then my wife gets mad. Not mad, but she's just like, why are you this way? And I don't know. I have a very definitive outlook on certain circumstances where I will act a very certain way that may embarrass her, but will provide me with a sense of glee. So basically, if you see me in the park and you don't have a stroller, stay out of my way. Stay out of my way unless you're trying to make an enemy. Because I will be that enemy. I will, without hesitation, turn on you. Anyway. I think I'm burning out. It's not as late as I've had to record in the past, but we've only been back a couple days and I'm still recovering. I really, really hurt my knee really bad coaching Jiu-Jitsu like the day before we had to leave for our trip. So I have a very faulty right knee. Like I messed it up very significantly skateboarding in my teen years. And I can remember the moment that I did it. It was, I don't remember exactly how old I was, but there was a skate shop in the town I grew up in called Pride. And once upon a time, there was a dude from South Africa named Rudy who worked at Pride. And I would go skate with him on a pretty frequent basis. And he was older than I was at the time. Like, he was probably early to mid 20s and I was like early to mid teens. And he was recklessly encouraging when it came to skating. And like, I don't know, man. He would always put in my head that I was capable of doing things that like maybe I really had no business believing I was capable in doing. But one day the shop had like a rail that, I don't know, kind of like felt like decoration most of the time, but it was a, you know, it was a rail we like a legit rail like for skating. And every now and then, like, he would just kind of like close up shop. He would just like shut the door or just like leave the shop entirely. We would take the rail and like go out on the street and set it up and just kind of like skate it. And he was trying to like teach me like a backside board slide. And it was something that is fairly simplistic when it comes to, you know, skateboarding, but it's definitely a trick where you have to have a decent enough skill set to where like the execution of it's you know, if you can backside board slide, you're a decent skateboarder. Definitely at the time. Kids today are doing tricks that I was just like that look like they're straight out of, you know, a Tony Hawk game. Like the tricks you can do in the game and you're like, "Oh, okay." And then you go pick up your board and you realize very quickly like, "Oh, that's a video game." Like the skill set you need for some of these tricks are just astronomical. But a backside board slide was reasonable enough. Like he taught me how to kick flip, heel flip, you know, do various flip tricks, 50-50 grind, like you know, he was kind of like my skateboarding mentor in a lot of ways, to where like a skate coach almost, like very, very encouraging. Well, this day, I don't know, man, like I just wasn't getting it. I just did not, I don't know, I just didn't have it in me. It was just not a good skate day for me. And he just kept like was really adamant about me landing this trick before he went back to work at the shop. So I just kept going at it. And in my final attempt, it was my final attempt because I really significantly hurt myself. It was my final attempt at doing it. And in the rotation for like ollieing up onto the rail, I learned later that I had torn the meniscus in my knee, and it was a pain that I had never ever in my life experienced anything like it before. But like at the time, like it felt like my knee slid completely out of place, like dislocated, and upon impact hitting the ground, it popped back into place. And his reaction was just very like so nonchalant in what I guess he witnessed, and like the amount of agony that I was displaying. He just didn't like. It made it seem like no big deal. Well, it's been a big deal. It's been a big deal for, my life since that. And since then, every now and then, my knee will do the same thing. It'll like slide out of place and I will collapse, and it will be just the most excruciating pain ever. It's happened twice now while coaching a kids jiu-jitsu class. And the time that it happened before, the first time it happened, I hide it well because, I'm an assistant jiu-jitsu coach at Nashville MMA, and like I help my jiu-jitsu coach kids. And it actually, when it happened the first time, it wasn't during a jiu-jitsu class. We were actually doing a kickboxing class for kids, and we were, he was having me like demonstrate, a block into an uppercut. And for however, I don't know what I did. I moved in a way where my knee buckled and did that wonderful thing that it does. And I hit the ground and I was just like, oh, whatever. And class continued. And then I showed up to my person, like adult jiu-jitsu class in a knee brace. And I remember him like just kind of being like, oh, you hurt yourself? And I was like, yeah, at when we were teaching class and I went down, he's like, oh, I thought you were just like faking it or something. Like, I didn't think it was that serious. And I was like, okay, cool, great, whatever. So I since that day, I wear a knee brace anytime I'm taking a class or I'm helping coach a class. Well, in my, I don't know, just ever distracting life, the day before we left for our Disney trip, he, ironically enough, he had to have knee surgery. He was having knee surgery. So he had knee surgery and he was recovering. So I was, helping assist in coaching a kids jiu-jitsu class, and my knee did it again. It did it again for seemingly no reason. Like I was just kind of, I was messing with one of the kids in the class, and just like it just gave out on me. My knee gave out. And it's still incredibly sore. Like I'm pushing on it now and it just sucks. But this was the day before we left for Disney. And I wore my knee brace through our whole entire trip, but for those of you familiar with going to theme parks or like Disney parks or whatever, like there's quite a bit of walking. There's a ton of walking that you do, and I'm doing this all on a very recently engaged injury. So I don't really quite remember why I started down this path talking about this, but I guess ultimately here in the end, I hurt my knee again. I re-aggravated that injury, and I have yet to rest it. So I'm still dealing with just the most awesome amount of pain. And it's just like having kids and stuff. Like I don't exactly have an opportunity just to sit around the house and not be moving almost constantly. So yeah, man, I'm being reminded right now actually that I'm old. Maybe that's where that's where this is ending up, because I kind of want to just go to bed. I want to go lie down and toss and turn for hours on end trying to find a comfortable way to sleep. And I say that because our two youngest just simply refuse to sleep in anywhere but our bed. And Maverick will crowd me all night long. Like he needs to be sleeping like either on top of me or like inside me. So he just kind of just seemingly completely sound asleep will ensure that I have no comfortable way to lay. And like having this knee injury, if I can find a way to be laying down where I'm not constantly reminded like, hey, your knee sucks. It's very difficult to find that position. And if I can find that position, if I'm allowed to keep that position, is a miracle, because I'll find the position, after however long of tossing and turning and whatever. I'll get comfortable finally, and then I'll be assaulted by my 3-year-old. So I'm spiraling now. I'm burning out and I'm spiraling, and I kind of want to cry, because I know that the exhaustion that I'm still feeling from the trip, yeah, man, bouncing back when you're old is hard, and bouncing back while injured when you're old is even harder. And then bouncing back from a trip while injured when you're old and you're being assaulted by a child is my reality. So yeah, all that being said, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to wrap it up and request that you like, subscribe, do all those things. Subscribe to this podcast on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. Visit our YouTube channel, The Legacy Club YouTube channel, at Leal Legacy. Like, subscribe, hit the ding dong bell, leave a comment, do all those fun things to help this grow and be sustainable, because this is This is the job. This is the career. This is what I do. This is all I do now. Leal Legacy is it. Well, and you know, coaching kids MMA every now and then. All that being said, if you find it within yourself to go to Legacy Club CLO.com, scope out what we got in our web store, pick yourself up something nice, grab yourself a t-shirt. We get into the fall and winter months, so I'm going to be putting up a whole bunch of new winter and fall cool weather wear. So go grab something, show your support. Keep this dream of mine and ours afloat. Make it worthwhile for us to do, for me to do. If you don't see something that appeals to you, well, maybe you'll see something that appeals to someone who appeals to you. You know, grab them something nice. Or if you're strapped for cash, that's cool. Just watch everything. Got tons and tons of commentaries on this channel that I post consistently. I aim for daily, but you know what? It's at the very least multiple times a week. So if nothing else, go watch those, hit the like, comment, do all those things. At Leal Legacy everywhere. And then we have our other YouTube channels like the POV channel that I will be dumping all of our recent Disney content on. It's called Legacy View, Leal Legacy View. Go there, subscribe, watch all those videos. Definitely subscribe, hit the notification bell, because I have loads of content that I'll be putting together and posting from this recent Disney trip. And then Legacy of Leal is our family vlog channel and podcast that will be kicking off here shortly, utilizing, the content collected from this recent Disney trip. If you want to hear my wife and I delve deeper into all of this together, that will be the spot you can find that. If you enjoy video games, we have our Leal Legacy gaming channel, which Bane, my son Bane, plays and streams on that channel daily, multiple times a day, with whatever video game that has piqued his interest at the time. It's an enjoyable watch, so go there, watch that, subscribe to that. Across all your favorite social media channels is at Leal Legacy, and I think that's about it. So hope you liked it, hope you dug it, hope you'll come back again. And all that being said, until next time, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and of course, thanks for being a friend and telling a friend. See ya. And there goes the video portion. And now, to conclude the audio portion, later.